Forging Cyber. Forging cybersecurity experts. Secure Ninja.
Hi everyone, I'm Alicia Webb with Secure Ninja TV, and I'm here at the FedCyber show in Arlington, Virginia. And I'm actually speaking with Matt Duveau. He is the CEO of FusionX and also the co-founder of FedCyber. Nice to talk to you, Matt, and thank you so much for having us here at the show.
Thanks for being here. You guys were great.
Thank you, definitely. So tell us about FedCyber.
So FedCyber is a conference that Bob Gorley and I started 3 years ago, and it really was born out of frustration that we had with all of the events that were taking place around cybersecurity issues, and listening to the same panelists talk about the same things and never really advance the dialogue. So we sat down and said, well, if we don't like how things are going, let's change it. Let's throw our hat in the ring. And we started FedCyber to really be a community engagement forum where we're going to bring together a great community of folks in the audience, on the stage, in our vendor area, and we're going to really try and advance the dialogue on hard issues or get them to think about things from a different perspective.
Okay, so some of the topics are things that you don't feel are normally touched on at other shows?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, today we did a panel on deception and its role in cyber, right? If somebody has penetrated your network and you know that they've penetrated, but they don't know that you know, what advantages do you then have? So we step people through the game theory associated with deception. We had Jose Rodriguez stop by, who was the head of clandestine services at the CIA, and talk about traditional aspects of espionage and bringing the human aspect back in the equation, because at the end of the day, even though we call them cyber attacks, there's really a human being that has some sort of intent at the other end that's attacking you.
Absolutely. Besides Jose Rodriguez, who were some of the main keynote speakers you had here?
Yeah, so we had a keynote this morning from Dr. Jim Miller, who is the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, so number 3 in the entire Department of Defense, who came in and gave us an update. It has been a dynamic environment. He addressed us 3 years ago with the opening keynote. So many things have changed, with cyberspace being an accepted domain of warfare now. He gave us an update, had a great engagement with the community, and actually tasked the community to come back to him on some specific issues. So not only did he speak to the community gave him feedback, and he gave us homework. So we now owe his office, the results of a couple of surveys from the FedCyber community. We also had a great panel on the adversary and scenario-based red teaming and the importance of thinking like an attacker instead of just doing compliance-based vulnerability assessment. Had a great panel on secrecy and security in the age of leaks and transparency, where we actually brought in John Young, who's run the site Cryptome for the past 17 years. That was the leaker before WikiLeaks existed, before Julian Assange and Snowden and Manning, and get his perspective. Why are people leaking these documents? What are we going to be facing in the future? So just some tremendous perspective from all of the speakers all day long.
Absolutely. Who were some of the attendees here at the show?
So we have a great attendees. I mean, one of the fascinating things is you're up on stage, engaging with the panels, and you're looking out and you're seeing people that could easily be in the audience. Guys like John Grimes, who have been engaged in this community forever. The person who was just recently retired, who was the head of the Army Cyber Command. Right? So a great number of attendees. And for us, it really is about the audience is as strong as the people that are on stage, and we rely on that community engagement. Everything is non-attribution. There's no press allowed, so we really get this honest and candid dialogue that doesn't exist anywhere else.
Right, definitely. How have you seen FedCyber grow from the first year to this being the third year?
Yeah, so we've gone up in attendees every year. We've gone up in the exhibitors and supporters of the event, which has allowed us to scale it up. And we've kept the quality of the engagement really high. So I don't think we would want to get much bigger than we were this year. I think this is really a good size where we had, 340 people that were registered for the event. It still allows for a great dialogue amongst the attendees without being too big.
Right. That's a refreshing perspective, because so many shows just want to get bigger and bigger and bigger, but it was intimate.
Yeah, and you have to remember, Bob and I do this because we want this dialogue to take place and we want this community to be talking to each other. We're not in it to make money, so we have no metrics with regards to we have to make 10% profit or 20% profit. We look to break even every year. If we make money, we roll it into the deposit for next year and into the expenses for the following year. So for us, it is not a business line, it is a community engagement and dialogue.
Absolutely. Now, this is obviously a great location, Crystal City. The Pentagon's right over there.
Yes.
I'm sure that was well planned since this is a federal show. Would you ever consider a different location, or do you consider this just prime?
So we've done 2 prior locations previously, which were both great in their own right, but this has been fantastic. I think for the attendees, the access to the metro, the location, the proximity to the Pentagon. So by all means, we intend to try and do it again right at this exact location next year or in the next 6 months. One thing that the attendees of the event have been telling us is they would like to get together more frequently than annually. So we've really got to sit down and look at, should we be doing this on an every 6-month basis?
Yeah. Are there any other changes you have planned for next year, or new things you want to add?
I don't think so. Our challenge is going to be, that Bob and I sit down and figure out what are the topics that can advance the bar next year. What do we wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about that we think need to be discussed at the next FedCyber event. So for us, that is the big challenge. Is okay, how do we continue to improve upon the content that we deliver, keep the community engaged, keep the sponsors engaged. The sponsors at FedCyber are absolutely critical. The hotel like this and feeding the attendees and allowing the government to attend for free is all a result of the people that are exhibiting here. So we want to make sure that they're engaged and happy and that the show is a success for everybody.
Absolutely. Now, I'm also speaking with Bob Gorley. He is the editor of CTOvision.com and the co-founder of FedCyber. How are you, Bob?
Very well.
Awesome. It was a great show today.
Well, thanks.
We absolutely enjoyed being here. Thank you so much for having us. How did the show go?
Well, I think we accomplished our core objectives, which is to advance the dialogue and help the cybersecurity practitioners out, the people who have real work to do. So for me, it was a success, but we would definitely like to get feedback from everybody involved to see if we really did help them do their jobs better.
Right. I hear that so far the feedback has been positive.
Right.
What sorts of things have you heard from the attendees?
Well, it's interesting. One person said it's the best one-day cybersecurity conference he has ever attended, so
Wow.
I took note of that.
That's pretty good.
Another person said that it was the best cybersecurity conference he has ever attended, period.
Ever.
Right, so
Nice.
we took note of that. I think people like the dialogue, and they like the fact that we focus on the real cybersecurity professionals, the practitioners. So it's not just about requirements or admiring the problem. It's about new ideas that can help solve problems.
Right. Now, you and Matt started this show together about 3 years ago. What led you to do the first FedCyber?
Well, we had seen, all of us, the many cybersecurity problems for a decade. The threat over that decade has continued to increase. Our dependencies on technologies continue to increase. And our approaches to the problem just haven't kept up. So part of it was wanting to pull together friends, associates, folks who do the real cybersecurity work and look for new approaches that would work. So we'd also been involved in many other conferences that seemed to be just admiring the problem and looking at the same challenge, and it's the same briefers up there saying the same thing. We're looking for new solutions that will work.
Right. So it's a solution-based show, putting minds together to come up with something rather than just educating people about a problem that we all know about already.
Absolutely, that's exactly right. And it's also focused on the federal space. So of course we have industry here too, including some CISOs from other industries. The CISO from Motorola was here, the CISO from State Street Bank. We had many others from the finance and health industry. But we focus on the federal enterprise. That's our base.
Right. Now, I know the Pentagon is right next door. This seems like a primo location for a show like this. Would you ever consider a different location?
We want to do what our community wants us to do, which right now probably means a once-a-year event like this in the DC area to advance issues around federal cybersecurity, and then continuous interaction on the internet through our email distros and social media distros to keep everybody working problems collectively together.
Definitely. So what was your favorite moment from the show today?
Well, for me, it's when a very senior Pentagon official, Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, is engaging with the crowd here in a way where he's learning and taking information back that he's going to use. That was my favorite moment. When he started asking people what they thought and how he could improve policy, I felt like, yes, we made a difference again this year. We're going to improve things because of that interaction. Definitely my favorite moment.
Awesome. Yes, that sounds good. Are there any changes that you have in mind that you would want to make for the show next year?
You know, there are several changes. Now, one thing we always do is we survey the people who come here. They're the ones that we want to support and serve and get their inputs. But some things we saw right away was a deep appreciation for having quality speakers. We will keep that up. We also saw a deep appreciation for having advanced technologies on our expo floor. So we will keep that up, and we will continue to look for the best technologies to bring in to give demos for. That's the key thing.
What sort of speakers do you aspire to have next year?
We want people who can share lessons learned, people who have done big things, and we especially want people who have failed and who can admit that they failed and learned lessons from those failures so they can share them, and so we don't repeat those failures. So we definitely look for the people with the courage to share those kind of moments with us. Generally that means we're looking for successful IT professionals.
Right. Well, it was a fabulous show, and it sounds like you guys have a good plan for a great show next year.
Yes, thank you.
Definitely, and a big thanks to you and Matt for having Secure Ninja here. We had a great time and had a lot of positive interactions with the exhibitors, so it was positive for everybody.
Well, thank you very much, and you know, it was great having Secure Ninja here. It made this a different kind of event for us, and it was very much appreciated.
Yeah, definitely. We're happy to be here. All right, guys, so make sure you don't miss any of the interviews we did with the exhibitors here at FedCyber. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. I'm Alicia Webb. Thanks for watching.
Secure Ninja TV is brought to you by SecureNinja.com, a world leader in cybersecurity training and certification. Our master instructors will help build you into a highly skilled and marketable security professional. Secure Ninja, forging cybersecurity experts.